What's going on, amazing people? It is TJ here once again. I'm sure probably all of you know me by now, but in this episode, I want to cover the new iPad Air 2020 model, which is just absolutely fantastic. And I know by now you're like, oh, come on, TJ, you say that every damn time Apple comes out with something. But in my defense, I really don't. There's times when I think Apple makes a stumble, like the AirPods Max, the new $550 over-the-ear headphones. Oh god, we're not even going to talk about how tone deaf of Apple that is to release those right now. But we're going to talk about something that I do think is impressive, and that is something that, again, I realize has been out for a couple months now. I got this personally about a month ago, but I just got a chance now to talk about it. I had no good excuse why it took me this long, but it just did. I had the LTE model of the iPad Air in mint green. So there's kind of like a translucent frosted case on it right now. So the camera probably can't show it that well, but it is mint green. And so plus naturally I got a green case to go with it from Amazon. And as I always say, don't bother going with Apple cases, guys. I mean, that's just I think, obvious. Just don't bother with them. Apple charges ridiculous amounts of the same quality you can get for 10, 15, 20 bucks on Amazon. Okay, so this new iPad Air, why is it fantastic? Well, I'm not going to give you the whole kit and caboodle about what it is and what it's not. You guys probably all know what iPads are by now. But I'll tell you why it's different from anything else. Why you should maybe consider this instead of something like the higher priced iPad Pro. I will tell you this, unless you are dead set on the higher end 12.9 inch iPad Pros, I would strongly, and I mean strongly, consider this guy instead. Because while it does make some sacrifices, let's not beat around the bush here, there is some sacrifices, it's very minimal. Okay, so what does this feature? It features a 10.9 inch display. It features the A14 Bionic chip that we see in the current line of iPhones. It features, I believe, only 4 gigs of RAM instead of 6 or more in the iPad Pros. It features the same flat edge design that we first got on the iPads a couple generations ago. I believe 2018 that was. So the iPad Air finally adopted a lot of the premium, higher-end features of its iPad Pro sibling, but at a much lower price point. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say $600 is still cheap, because it's not. It's absolutely not. But it's definitely more accessible than $800 to $1,000 or even higher than that. And you can often find these on sale, especially after the holidays. I guarantee you're going to see these on sale for $50 to $100 off, which is always nice. Now, mine actually was I think it was 729 model, because I got the LTE from Verizon. So I have to say, this is another way that I've kind of taken a step back, and I kind of have to eat my own words in a sense, because for years I saw no point in paying extra for the LTE iPads, and I owned a couple models of them, but I always ended up selling them and going back to the Wi-Fi only models. And granted, it sucks having to pay extra for the LTE models, it really does. But I will tell you, now that I have this, I can't go back to only Wi-Fi, because already, even without traveling all that much, I find that when I have Spectrum Internet and when that goes down sometimes, it's just so nice to just, pop onto this guy and already have a connection. Don't have to worry about using hotspot on my phone or something. It's just nice to have that. So, if you are on the fence about Wi-Fi versus LTE models of the iPad, if you can swing it. I will say this. I always say if you have a need for an LTE iPad, you can see yourself using it, it's a good investment. If you can't, then obviously just stick to the Wi-Fi models, but they're always $129 cheaper. So there's that. Okay, so aside from this guy having a 10.9-inch stunning display, I mean, we just know that from Apple, the displays are going to be fantastic. There's no doubt about that. It is slightly less bright. Now, of course, I'm showing you this on camera, but obviously it's not going to be the best, seeing it in person will obviously do it other justice, but it looks great. And the only thing that you will see, it is slightly less bright than the iPad Pro, as expected. Interestingly, it's also just slightly less bright than the cheap 329 iPad, which is interesting, but that's okay. The upside to that is this is a fully illuminated display, which basically means you feel like you're actually looking directly at the content and there's no air gap between the glass and the actual display underneath it, which is nice. So there's always that. Now, other things to note about this iPad Air 2020 is that it starts at 64 gigs of storage as opposed to the 128 that you'll find in the iPad Pros that cost a lot higher price. But now it does support this guy. Hallelujah. Thank you, Apple. I mean, that's something that, again, makes you wonder why Apple waited a couple generations to do this. But second-gen Apple Pencil support, much appreciated on Apple's behalf. So with the introduction of this, and also, this is compatible with the Magic Keyboard case that for the 11-inch iPad, because really this shares the same body as the iPad Pro 11-inch. So, with all these things being added in, Apple has baked in a better value, almost, than the iPad Pro. Okay, so you don't get the better camera system of the iPad Pros, which now have that LiDAR sensor or scanner, so that it uses a laser to measure the distance of objects around the room. But I see that in very limited use. I mean, some people that are really doing pro-level tasks might find that kind of stuff useful, but for the average user, you're not going to care if you just have this good enough camera right here. It's good enough. And I will say this, the front-facing camera is 7 megapixels, and that also does a fantastic job. I mean, it is, I will say that, surprisingly, the webcam actually, or the front-facing camera actually shoots pretty good quality shots in my testing. So, I will say this, as a final closer to this review, which again, it didn't entail very much because there wasn't that much to say about something we all know what iPads are. This is almost everything that the iPad Pro is, with some sacrifices, but hundreds of dollars cheaper, and I would argue better color options. Obviously, I love my mint green, and you can also get this in sky blue. I think there's a pink. Yeah, there's a pink color. Space gray, if you are blurring, you just want your blurring colors. They're silver and black, or space gray, if you will. Not black, but space gray. So, it's really cool that Apple did this, because they are making something accessible that was once crazy expensive. The iPad Pros, I will argue for a long time. I can't stop arguing that the iPad Pros are still crazy at how expensive they are. I mean, unless you buy one of those iPad Pros as a replacement device for a computer, I can't figure out why you would want to spend over $1,000 on an iPad. Even if you are an artist or creative professional, it's very difficult for me to recommend people do that, especially, maybe even only now because of this guy, the iPad Air 2020. So, simply put, go with this instead. If you, in most cases, I recommend this. Now, with that all being said, though, there is always an argument to be had that the extra features of the iPad Pro could be useful if you're using it as your only computer, as I did for almost the entire year. Now I'm back on an M1 equipped MacBook Pro, which I love, but, I didn't have that for almost the entire year, so my 2020 iPad Pro 12.9 inch came in huge handy, and it was really a fantastic computer. But if you're using this as an iPad, okay, as an iPad alone, this is fantastic. With that being said, though, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Village tonight. I'll be doing more content soon. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And please be awesome and share this video if you feel so compelled to do so. It does help me out. And come on, I'm a lonely guy. This is my passion, my hobby. Help the guy out, would you? I'm only kidding. You don't have to do that. Don't feel bad for me. But if you want to share it, that would be great. So with that being said, guys, until next time, have a great evening. And like I always say, peace out for now.